this meeting of the Homeless Services Ad Hoc Committee to order. It is 1:15 on Thursday, September 18th, 2025. Can you please call the roll,
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Hammond?
Yes, sir. Mr. Bailey?
Present.
Dr. Bustles? Mr. Brennan?
Present, thank you. Item number one, we're going to move to approval of minutes from April 8th, 2025. That's the last time we got together. Just to review quickly, was that, Commissioner, was that the first ad hoc committee meeting we had? Second, okay. The big takeaways from that were the point in time count summary, which we worked with the mock to get out in the communities and really understand how many homeless individuals we have in not just Columbia, but the Midlands. And that count came to 1,423 people experiencing homelessness. So that was a report that we were given. And then really lended itself to really talking about the future and building a homeless services blueprint. So that's what you're going to see today is an update on where we're at from working with Ms. Kamisha Heppard and the homeless services team in moving that blueprint forward. So with that, is there a motion to approve the April 8th, 2025 homeless services meeting minutes?
So moved.
I will second it. Do we need a roll call?
All in favor?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. All right. Now we're moving into committee discussion. Item number two, update on homeless services blueprint. Ms. Kamisha Heppard, our Director of Homeless Services.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll show it real quick since it's, yeah.
So good afternoon. Thank everybody for coming. I just want to briefly introduce my staff that's with me,
Thank
if
you.
that's okay.
Absolutely.
So I have Erin Pace with me. She's the community liaison. Jonathan Cooper is our project coordinator. And I have my intern, my Benedict intern with me from Alasia. And so now we see, we're looking at the homeless services blueprint and just shows our actions. Councilman Brennan went over, April, and then we had our meeting in July. And now we are at September. So today we have our ad hoc committee meeting and we'll be discussing the, new program up under homeless services. In March, we'll come back to discuss the successes of that, along with a consultant that we would have identified and introducing them to the committee. And then in April 2026, we should have executed the initiative for at least 6 months, and we'll come back to review it, look at its successes, look at the guidance from the consultant and apply their recommendations as needed. And if it's approved, from that point, we'll continue it on it as a program and not a pilot.
And we can come back to the blueprint, but since this is the overall discussion that Mr. Brennan had referenced, we wanted to show the steps. And then at the end, because I think the presentation they're about to do will really explain everything even better. So we can come back to it.
All right.
From crisis to tomorrow, new evolving pathways to stability, building recovery capital for our unsheltered. So I just want you all, I'm gonna take you guys back some years, 2010, 2011, what Columbia was experiencing with the unsheltered as the numbers increased. The key providers at that time was Oliver Gospel Mission, Salvation Army, and the Family Shelter. The scope of services met those basic needs, meals, a winter shelter, case management, job training, etc. The outcomes during that time showed recidivism, so we were working with the unsheltered, then they would be housed and re-enter homelessness. And again, the unsheltered numbers was increasing after that time. So Columbia had a vision. And so in the mid-2000s, the unsheltered number roles. The PIC count for 2011 showed that there was almost 1,400 unsheltered individuals in the city of Columbia, well, in the MOP, which is 13 counties. We talk about the response to fragmented services, the emergency shelter, and the need. And so out of that, an effort led by Kathy Novinger created the largest homeless center in the state of South Carolina. And that homeless center had 260 beds. So from 2011 to now, we are experiencing another crisis with the unsheltered. Numbers have rose, the population has gotten more challenging. The population now that we work with range from 45 years to older. And so, which means that they are living on the streets for this long time, and they are experiencing that physically. So if you engage an unsheltered person, I'm 53, so a 53-year-old unsheltered person that has been homeless for the past 5 years, they have physical ailments of an 80 or a 90-year-old. And that's the same for a 30-year-old individual. They would have the physical ailments of a 50, 60-year-old. They're literally sleeping on the concrete, dealing with the weather, and those things take effect on them. So they're growing old on the streets. And so in 2022, the city of Columbia came together and they created Rapid Shelter Columbia. Rapid Shelter Columbia is a pallet community where we have 50 pallets, 40 for men, 10 for women. We work with the chronically unsheltered within the city of Columbia. It's a referral-based program, which means you need to get a referral from a human service provider in order to partake, and you have to meet that chronically unsheltered definition. We provide intensive case management with individuals on site. And what that looks like, again, as I described the population, is that once they come on site, we identify them in a category, right? So if they're seniors, we know that housing is limited, so we start backwards. We identify the housing that they're eligible for, and we start applying for those things, getting them on wait lists. Then we start working from the front, like, why are you homeless? Why is this, why are you going through this cycle of homelessness, and try to address those things. Most times it's mental health, or substance, or a combination of both. And so that's very challenging in itself because providers don't do dual diagnosis services. So they will not address the substance until the mental health is cleared, or vice versa. And we know that evidence shows that it's best to address them both at the same time. So Rapid Shelter started November 22, and in 2025, we have housed 100 individuals. Those individuals that we house, they receive continuing case management from us. We meet them where they at. Some we have to meet once a month, once a week. We provide transportation to them. We provide crisis intervention when needed. We transport them to appointments. Aaron Pace is the community liaison. So what we try to do is when we place individuals in a community, we try to bring their community to them to keep them engaged and to keep them active and to keep them housed. So for example, if we moved someone in an apartment complex, they have a community center. We try to have activities in that community center to engage the individuals that we have moved there and the individuals that were living there prior. Adopt a Pallet is an initiative up under Homeless Services, and this is the way the community could help financially support the effort. And so these numbers need to be updated, but as from this, we had 12 pallets adopted. with a total of $9,863.04 raised. And those funds go directly to the individuals. None of that funding goes to salaries. It's straight, direct client services, whether it's for identification documents, to apply, for an apartment, to clear up past, utility bills so that they can move. If they have fines in other areas that would hinder them from permanent housing, those funds help with that.
Kamisha, I
Yes.
just want to add here, I think something that you said, which is critical. A lot of federally funded programs don't allow you to get mental health services until you're clean, which doesn't make sense when we look at the data and how things coexist. And in our conversations, we have interacted with folks that have many different co-occurrences and comorbidities, which I think has been the success of this. But also, I think it's important for the public to know that giving folks their own space and not having a traditional shelter model. I mean, you and I, after a natural disaster, knock on wood, don't want to be in a room with 500 people. Imagine when you add in, trauma or mental health or opioid use or whatever it is. And so we're seeing nationally the trends are moving to these single occupancy spaces, and that's why the pallet community has been so successful. And I think that that's something that the public should know, that people want to live with dignity and have their own space. And that's the trend that I would like to see, Mr. Chair, us move towards, which is, keep up with what the science and the research is showing, that we need to move away from some of those traditional shelter models, which certainly have a place for, catastrophic events or something we need to put together last minute. But in terms of, generally speaking, moving more towards this kind of continuum and, meeting people where they are and giving them their space to really grow out of their circumstances is really important.
I think yes.
And I think Dr. Bustles is hitting on the point that I think Kamisha was softly showing this evolution. So starting with 2011 and the wonderful work that was done then and what they knew then. But the purpose of this ad hoc committee is as far as what the city of Columbia can do and what we have demonstrated success on and what we will continue to do. And then now today, showing this next level of services. So one thing that Kamisha and Aaron left out is that they were not at the city in Johnston in 2022. It was this council that had the foresight to believe in what we were saying as far as trying something new with Rapid Shelter. But now Rapid Shelter is but one piece of an overall service delivery through homeless services, which we did not have until 2022, because obviously we needed to bring on the professionals, master social workers who understand the conditions surrounding this holistically. And so we couldn't speak to that. I know I couldn't as a manager, and I've said this many times, it was an uncomfortable period of time for us to now delve into these social spaces. But if not us, then who? And so that has been the guiding principle behind why the city is now investing what it does in these services. And we cannot do it by ourselves, though. And so I think the evolution that she's talking about and what they will begin to present now is a new program that our council is endorsing. So we need the community support for this.
Any questions? So, yes, so I'm gonna hand it to Erin from this point and she'll cover the presentation.
First, I want to say thanks everyone for being here, and for your attention as well. Just to piggyback on what Ms. Wilson and, Dr. Bustles was saying, with Rapid Shelter Columbia, talking to the residents, it is really impactful to hear them say that having that key to a door that they can open and lock and go inside and have quiet and peace and somewhere where they can collect their thoughts, it cannot be understated. It is a huge breakthrough for those individuals who get a pallet and get to use that. So this data, the first pie chart up here is just showing the age range of our clients at Rapid Shelter Columbia. So we see that 62% of our population is over 45. So that population is getting older. Like Kamisha was saying, they are having more chronic health conditions. And in our bar graph over here, it shows the disabling conditions of the clients at Rapid Shelter. And we see that mental health, 45% of them have a mental health diagnosis. 34% have a substance use disorder. 29% of them have chronic health conditions. 9% have HIV/AIDS. 10% have a developmental disorder. And 32% have a physical disability.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Of course.
Of the 45 and over, the folks that come into the programs and our services prior to getting to that 45, do you find that they were experiencing homelessness younger? Or is it one of those things, the older you get, the harder the life is and you kind of give yourself to wanting services?
I think it's a combination. We really see individuals enter homelessness for so many different reasons. A loss of a job, a death of a family member. For youth, maybe they've been in foster care and they've aged out of foster care. So some of those individuals have been unsheltered for a long amount of time, and then they reach that age of 45, and we're seeing them, being that our population is the chronically unsheltered, they have to have been living in a habitable area for 12 months, and they have a disabling condition. So definitely in that over 45, a big majority of those individuals have been homeless for a while.
Gotcha.
And they carry all of that trauma that they've experienced, trauma from healthcare, trying to get services and then not getting the services they were promised. So they carry a lot of that trauma with them when they are approached by well-intentioned people to receive the services. They have hesitations. And it's understandable because of the intense trauma that they have had.
Thank you.
And then I wanted to share the PIT count numbers for 2025. The mock has already posted these. So this is the 13 counties that are represented by the mock COC. And in Richland County, we have 837 unsheltered individuals, with 89 of those being unsheltered. And keep in mind, the PIT count is done one night in January, and it's mandated by HUD, and it is used to get a glimpse of what the homelessness looks like on a single night. But we often hear, and research has shown that it is an undercount of the numbers. So just keeping that in mind. So why reevaluate now? While some attempt to stabilize, they do not have the capacity for deeper recovery support needed for long-term self-sufficiency. Together, we can bolster existing services and provide multiple pathways to stability. So while we're talking about these evolving challenges, as we had said before, the unsheltered population is getting larger and they're getting older. They're worsening chronic health conditions, and the opioid epidemic has presented a whole new wave of individuals who are experiencing unshelteredness. We also need to consider inflation, post-COVID evictions, and then the federal changes with healthcare and SNAP. So the healthcare isn't changing so much for South Carolina, but the SNAP for South Carolina residents will be changing because of the new bill. And so the SNAP changes are going to affect the unsheltered community. There used to be exclusions for them, but now there are not going to be any exclusions for the unsheltered. And they're going to have if you're an able-bodied person, then you need to work to get SNAP benefits. So just being aware of that and aware of that going on, and trying to think ahead to catch those individuals that are going to be impacted by those changes.
And practically speaking, all of these challenges, I would say, are more people going to the ER, interacting with, Prisma, MUSC, more people interacting with CPD. Drug use obviously can lead to criminal activity behaviors And that's where, then I think that's where constituents are then seeing these negative interactions in terms of folks that may not even want to, but they're not themselves. So I think it's important also for the public to know that these challenges have resulted in in real practical implications in terms of safety, as well as kind of people re-entering the criminal justice system, as well as just more and more service calls that the city of Columbia is taking on, which, does affect kind of our capacity and the budget that we have for all the different services that we provide in the city.
And what Aaron doesn't have in the evolving changes next to the SNAP would be vouchers. So vouchers was like a God-given gift to us as we work with unsheltered individuals in order to get them housed. But the new federal changes state that a voucher can only be used for 2 years now. When in previous years, it was as long as you was compliant, doing what you were supposed to do, you could have permanent housing until you left. And so that's gonna be challenging as well.
So
Definitely.
individuals have to reapply, or that's kind of
It's not
still
reapply, that's a
Just 2-year
hard
limit.
stop.
2-year, and that's it?
Next, or you should.
And so I put some key barriers up here. The unsheltered, they have higher risk of substance use disorder or co-occurring conditions. So that looks like substance use disorder and a mental health condition. And the lack of social support. So the unsheltered have they have social support, but it's not necessarily positive social support. So we want to try to change that and empower them to be empowering to also their neighbors and create more social support for them.
What does social support look like?
Social support looks like friends and family and the people that you call when you're not having a good day.
So that's important with the aftercare, what I spoke about, what Erin does when we move individuals in a community. So when she bring those activities to the community, that is building that social support for them.
And isolation, we know, is not beneficial for anyone, just thinking back to COVID. So we want to make sure that our individuals are not feeling isolated if they are trying to get housed or if they're trying to get into recovery. We don't want that to be an isolating event for them.
It's also important in the context of, again, back to the congregate versus the non-congregate. Being congregate, but having a plethora of behaviors going on where you have individuals who are right there, maybe ready to receive positive peer support, but if in the midst of negative peer support, then that can be a big detractor. And so I think, again, as we're getting to the point of kind of the new pilot program, they're gonna talk about peer support done the right way, I think is what we're getting at.
Yes.
So this is a video we would like for you guys to watch. It's short and brief.
On this bad?
Can we pause it?
Says mute on there, Missy. I don't know if that. Oh, okay.
Recovery community centers provide a variety of
Thank you, everyone.
What are recovery community centers? Recovery community centers are also known as recovery support centers or recovery cafes. They are non-residential, community-based hubs that offer a broad range of recovery-oriented, peer-delivered services that support addiction recovery within a rich social context. Recovery community centers provide a variety of specific services to help people achieve and maintain recovery. What do recovery community centers provide? Recovery community centers provide recovery coaching, medication support, access to technology and internet, financial services, mental health support, childcare services, housing assistance, peer-facilitated support groups, basic needs assistance, employment assistance, and recreational activities. Is there a cost to participate? No, these services are free for participants. What do we know about the benefits of participating? Preliminary evidence suggests benefits include improvements in substance use outcomes, living conditions, happiness, functioning, remission, and quality of life. What is the best way to learn about recovery community centers in my local area? You can locate your local recovery community center by searching on the web with search terms such as Recovery Community Center, Recovery Support Center, and Recovery Cafe, alongside the name of your town or city, or by looking at your local or state public health department website. This video is brought to you by the Recovery Research Institute of Massachusetts General Hospital in partnership with SAMHSA's Opioid Response Network.
So our response is going to be the Recovery Community Center at Hope Plaza, and it is a pilot program of the City of Columbia's Homeless Services. We're committed to providing a safe, supportive environment that fosters healing, stability, and empowerment. And we're going to connect individuals experiencing unsheltered situations with recovery-focused services and resources in collaboration with community partnerships to promote long-term wellness, independence, and self-sufficiency. This program is in alignment. So this program is being funded by SCORF, and it is in alignment with the core abatement strategies listed here for the South Carolina Opioid Recovery Fund.
Can we just highlight that? And Dr. Bustles, I think a lot of stuff fell under what could be funded under those recovery funds, but you want to talk about the commitment towards this program and the importance of
Yeah, as the vice chair of this fund, we look for programs that traditional funding mechanisms are not able to support, especially in a time where federal funding is changing and a lot of foundations are pivoting. And something really important to us when looking at programs is sustainability and it being evidence-based. And I think that this is huge, knowing that Hope Plaza has been for a very long time a hotspot for trouble, for lack of a better term, and we know there are many reasons why that's happening. And so to be able to combine our trust and partnership with Christ Central, along with the expertise that we have on our staff, and then this council's commitment, it was really great to see. Well, I was not in the room when they voted, but I watched it on Zoom, and they were my fellow board members of the SCORF board were very excited to see all of these issues being brought together in a way that addresses opioid use in a very holistic way, knowing that oftentimes, you're just one kind of relapse or one overdose away from being in really unfortunate circumstances. So this is great because it's evidence-based. It's going to address a spot that has been an area that there are a lot of people that need help. And then, of course, the most important thing is we already know that there's a ton of homeless services that exist in the greater Columbia area. And hopefully with us being the convener, because we can't do it all, nor should we do it all, we can bring some of those partners together to then meet people where they are, which I think is key. When you think about transportation barriers, it takes us 30 minutes to get to the other side of town by car. Imagine how long it would take for someone using public transportation or walking to get there.
Absolutely, so.
And as we was highlighting SCORF, I also would like to highlight the partner at Hope Plaza. They have offered us the whole facility to meet the mission that we have stated, and without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. I also want to shout out Nyasha Franklin because she did the heavy lift on this grant writing, and she did a really great job.
She's not in here today, but yes,
But
thank you,
just to stress,
Naisha.
everything we're about to talk about is a city-led and city-led with our goals
Yes.
in mind. Okay.
Yes, sir. And I think that's so key. I'm so proud of the team. Kamisha, Aaron, Jonathan, intern, Naija, all of the team, because they are looking and thinking outside of the box, but also wanting to pull in partnerships. And absolutely, the corridor, as we know it, the corridor right now that our community members, our business owners, our citizens, our law enforcement professionals deal with on a daily basis as we know it, is just untenable to keep being in a cycle. We need to do something that is outside of the box again. But also a national model, clearly. It's not like we're trying to implement something that hasn't been done in other places. But it does require the right facility, which is a wonderful facility right on the site at Hope Plaza that I think has always been intended to be utilized for this type of work. It's set up inside. We look forward for people to see this just for what they are about to describe that will happen on site every day. We do have a few unmet needs that we're still working through as well, and we'll talk about medical triage in just a moment as well when you all finish, Aaron and Kamisha. And of course, we need more outreach, and all of that happens still with partnerships. But do y'all want to kind of get into, from an infrastructure perspective, we have it, and the right public facing infrastructure from a safety perspective, we have that. So I would love for y'all to talk about some of the things that would happen on site.
I skipped over all your things. Go ahead.
I know, and you may want to go back, because that's really important, the slide with the capital that you'll build. I know, well,
Right
This
there.
one?
yeah.
So a little bit about recovery capital, because it's kind of a new term, some people don't know, but it is the sum of the total internal and external resources that an individual can draw upon to initiate and sustain recovery from substance use disorders. It is personal, social, community, and cultural. And a lot of this also ties back to social determinants of health. So when you increase access to physical health, mental health, life skills, social resources, you are creating more opportunity for those individuals to become healthy and to be self-sufficient. In the spirit of all of these wonderful things that we're going to be bringing to the Recovery Community Center, I have created a sample calendar. All of these individuals all of these agencies are agencies that in my year with the city, I have personally reached out to and made communication with and had vague conversations about the possibility of being able to bring their services on site to another location. But ideally, I would like to have at least 3 providers every single day inside of the Hope Center, and even more than 3, because there is plenty of space. And
Be able to do this.
and it's a big, beautiful space, and we'll provide this space. We just need the providers to come. Do you want to go back to this one? Sure. And I'll explain that one a little bit. So this is a recovery ecosystem map. It is so the whole nation, the NORC at the University of Chicago and East Tennessee State University, they developed this whole map for the entire nation, but we are looking specifically at Richland County. So right now, on a scale of 1 to 5, we are a 3, which is it's not bad, but we want to get that to a 1. So we want to have as many factors in place to support the recovery community as possible. And
I think I want to add to Ms. Wilson's point of what will happen on site on a daily basis. So individuals will come in, we'll do assessments on them, and according to their assessments, that will be determined how we refer them. For individuals that are ready, we will be able to provide transitional housing for them. And I just want to stress for the individuals that are ready, we will be able to provide those services. We will have security there. It will be security at the entry point. And just for an example, Kamisha's coming today for mental health. He'll have his calendar and he'll be able to know if that is the day for that. And if not, he'll be able to provide that information to the person so that they can return. Simultaneously, we will be working with partners in the community to provide meal sharing over at Hope Plaza. And the hope is that we will be able to engage those individuals that it's a part of their passion and their mission to provide meals to this population. Again, to the fact that the facility is magnificent and it's clean, it has air, heat, it has restrooms, all those good things. And while the individuals are there eating and we have their attention, then we also have providers that can engage them while they are there.
And
Mr.
this
Chair?
is very, oh, I'm sorry, Mr.
Mr. Chair, and so the objective is to get people who are experiencing homelessness on the street off of the street and the services that they need.
Yes.
And we'll have people out there engaging with people to get them in there.
Yes, and to bring the services directly to them. So they can apply for SNAP, they can apply for Healthy Connections, they can work on getting their identifiers, but they can do it right there where they are already.
And so if your intention, again, and because so these are my master social workers and they are definitely on point with everything that they are saying and what we will provide. But and we're gonna meet people where they are. But the difference about the corridor and the expectations there and the tone, quite frankly, that must be set is that there has to be a willingness to receive the services. If you want the service and you want to be there, then they're going to embrace that. But it is not intended for other behaviors. Okay, so if the other behaviors are being exhibited in a way that is counterproductive, again, to everyone else who wants to be there, back to this positive peer support, and even though this is a congregate type scenario, it's also meant to be supportive in nature in every aspect. So the guardrails and mechanisms are there to support those who want the assistance. Now goes back to some of, a few unmet needs, because the more outreach and the more case managers and the more people like Kamisha and Aaron and Johnston and those who know how to deal with our population, the better. And that's what we would love to have the support for. If all of our providers in the city of Columbia could provide one outreach person, just one, to help with the outreach that they're doing, it would make such a difference. To have, and Chief Holbrook and Major Roberts can speak to this, but on any given day, if I'm coming into work and I see them out on the street, like literally our chief of police or our major, which is fine. I mean, that's what we do. We don't mind, or myself. But we're not the professionals to engage that person that way. That presents as something else is automatically going to be happening from a law enforcement perspective. And that is not what many of these individuals need. And so we are just simply making this plea, this call to action, that if we are providing literally the financial resource, facility, the heat, the air, the things to stand this up, it would be a beautiful thing for those who have this similar mission to join us. From a meal sharing perspective as well, there's nothing about this location other than positivity and support that we're trying to extend the hand to everyone. There's nothing about that would not allow someone who genuinely feels it is their mission to serve meals to not do it right there in that safe space, where it is much more respectable for the community, but most importantly for the unsheltered who need the meals, to be able to sit at a table inside, not on the street, eat, fellowship, receive services, use the bathroom, clean up after themselves. That is the environment we're trying to create.
Let me ask you something. Ms. Wilson and Kamisha, can you give us an example how a large healthcare provider, MUSC, Prisma, Lexington Med, now we have Novant coming into the market, how can they contribute? How can they help with this process? I mean, is it filling prescriptions? Is it, what's,
We actually have a place on site that's already set up to provide medical services. So we could get one of those partners to come on site and provide something like an urgent care, so that we know that our unsheltered population uses the 911 and EMS and the emergency room, sometimes just for shelter, just to get away. If we could meet those needs right there, we won't have to do the 911 calls, get EMS, get fire out there. We can address it right there, and assure the person that the services that they are getting are appropriate. You know, we can take care of this here. You don't have to go to the hospital, get them signed up with a primary care provider. And it's just reteaching those things again, getting their minds back into normal per se, how things are done, because the emergency room should not be used as your primary care provider. And if we could have that there, that would be awesome, Councilman Brent. That would be awesome.
And that's a great segue to this medical triage need, as I mentioned, an unmet need. The way we're trying to meet it most immediately, because we definitely want to engage those healthcare partners, as they would be the most ideal to do it. We have Chief Holloway here with Columbia Richland Fire, and obviously our firefighters are first responders, and many of them are EMRs, which I've learned a lot about this versus being an EMT. Many are EMTs. But state law would still require some type of memorandum of understanding with our EMRs to allow them to treat. Because a lot of this, like Kamisha said, you know, the constant running code and calls, sending ambulances and fire trucks and everything, we see it all day long in the corridor. It is really not necessary a lot of the times because of what they come to treat. It could be a stomach ache or anxiety or whatever it might be that they could triage and not have to do a whole transport. And so we're working through that without getting into all the details, where we're gonna stand up something temporary. Chief Holbrook brought this to my attention, that many communities in San Antonio, for example, they've done it that way with the EMTs and EMRs. I can pass that down to them. And so we're gonna try that until we can get the Prisma or Lexington or a Novant, try some type of arrangement with Richland County EMS and our fire services to provide some immediate medical
so this is
triage.
the template of what we want to strive for?
If we're using the EMTs, did you wanna speak to that at all, or just briefly?
Sure.
At the podium, or sit right here.
Yeah.
So currently, just as a stopgap measure, we're exploring ways that our EMRs can provide services on site and potentially not require a transport ambulance. The way the system's set up right now, the EMRs that are assigned to the fire engines, they respond because normally our engines are closer and can provide immediate care. However, there's no path for a person to release the medical care and then not be transported without Richland EMS arriving. So some of the things we've discussed is potential of a MOU with Richland or a private ambulance company to try to be able to create a stopgap until an MIH can be stood up.
Fantastic. And
We definitely would like Richland County support.
have you started having conversations with our friends at the county?
I have a few that I've seen. I need to talk to county administrator, of course, but I know some of your counterparts have reached out to me. Richland County Council counterparts who have an interest in what's also happening downtown. And I know the library, for example, has been a topic of discussion for some of the activities that are occurring around the library or inside the library. And so when they asked about those
Do you
things,
see,
we
that's a
shared.
good, I'm glad you brought up the library.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a connectivity point to getting those folks that we all know go to the library when it opens and leave when it closes? Do you think that they could have
Really
services?
impressed.
I'm not sure, is that?
It's not my phone.
Our two youngest
Hey, we all-
council
we all
members
do-
can appreciate.
And I was like, okay, that's
You get a little bit of-
playing my Spotify account at home. So sorry.
Sure. You can own it.
Wait, see, question,
But just simple connections like that, as far
Yeah.
as, you know, the clientele that could use these services.
yes.
Okay.
And I don't know, Chief, if you want or Major wanted to speak to any of the things we've talked about so far as it relates to the public safety component and maybe what y'all are seeing in the corridor.
And I didn't mean to get too off track.
Oh, no, we
so-
wanted to,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
we wanted to talk about the different elements.
Yes, thank you. So, one of the things you've probably noticed just in the last few months was the perimeter fencing project. And, you know, we went to Pastor Jones some time ago, really to discuss some grave concerns and some solutions. And that's really where this partnership conversation started. He was very agreeable and collaborative from the very beginning. They've invested well over $100,000 in that fencing. They've also committed to some additional infrastructure security measures. We obviously have our portable trailer out there, but just what you've seen in a short period of time, and I think it's been impactful with some of the neighbors too, is we've really calmed that corner, that whole square block down. And what I mean by that is it created an immediate barrier. The foot traffic and vehicular traffic, you know, went away. Some of the criminal activity, specifically the drug activity, both using and distribution, went away. And we know it's gone somewhere. We haven't detected that other than just there's a lot of victimization within the unsheltered population. But to me, it's a positive indication of what we can do through environmental design, leveraging our technology. The Greek Church has been one of our first buy-ins to our camera technology. They've actually installed their own and given us connectivity. We expect to have the same thing happen at Christ Central. We've shifted some private security up there already. Kamisha has a security plan for interior and exterior, and to Ms. Wilson's point, I think the desire is to create the environment for the experts and the clinicians to be able to provide the services that are needed to the people that need it and want it. You know, right now, I think the best way to describe it, there's a lot of confusion with, among the unsheltered. I think you've got a group that want the services, need the services, but they're in an environment that's not conducive to getting the services. You've got some that are not wanting, they're just wanting to victimize and take advantage of people, and that's gonna be our issue to deal with that. And then I think you've got all these in-betweeners that we're hoping, I think the goal is to create order and you know, in some dignity with some strict accountability
You're not
too.
speaking just of Hope Plaza, you're speaking about the corridor and really,
I'm thinking about the corridor,
Yeah.
but in particular, we're talking about the Hope Plaza
Right.
property and
Right.
just, again, in a short period of time, what just some, environmental improvements can do. I mean, I think if we keep this, taking a bite of the apple here, holding our retail establishments, in check. But I do think that the key ingredient that's still not quite in place yet, if I may, is the service providers that are meeting the people where they are. And what I mean by that is, everybody's got great intentions, but there's a lot of services at a lot of different locations, and it's a kind of a buckshot approach.
Right.
And to me, to Ms. Wilson's point, when we're engaged with our unsheltered, for whatever reason it might be, we really need to see the service providers in the field dealing with that, because if you all have heard me say 100 times now, it's either gonna be an arrest, a referral that they're taking us up on to the services, or we're having to move them along because they're just unsheltered, but they're not committing a crime or they're refusing services. To me, that's the folks that we need to get a hold of, because that's where all the frustration comes from when
And I wanna back Chief up in that. So when they are out there doing the work.
Supporting him and
Right.
not back him
Oh.
up like.
But when they are out there doing the work and there's nobody for them to hand off to,
Right.
that's a hard job. And then the criticism comes that law enforcement is not treating the unsheltered right. I'm here to say that I have witnessed them, not just Chief, his whole team, deal with the unsheltered how it's supposed to happen. I'm pleased with that. I am so pleased with how they engage with them, but they don't have anybody to hand them off to, and that's a problem. And I know that some agencies don't have the capacity to have outreach workers, but for those that do, outreach workers need to be present so that law enforcement can say, you know, whatever it is, and then Kamisha's here to assist and start working with that person. That's what that should look like. That would be a perfect partnership with CPD and outreach.
We funded a couple more outreach positions, didn't we, recently, or that's in the works?
that,
Commissioner? So we have 2 contract outreach individuals with transitions, one for the evening and one for the day. A couple of weeks ago, I brought on a part-time outreach person that's in-house. And I know that he has been actively in the corridor. He does the 7 a.m., he's doing the weekends, he's out there Saturday and Sundays. So he is out there, but we need more, like, we continue to say that the city can't do it alone. We need the partners, we need the community to come on alongside us and do the work that they're already doing, but let's do it together.
How do we track those interactions that those outreach folks are having?
So they have to,
I asked the contractors, I mean, do they provide?
right, so
Info
they're
for you.
required to send me a quarterly report, and I receive those, and then they are required to input that information in HMIS, and IH is able to pull a report.
Is there any coordination with outreach workers in the jails? With bond court, like, let's say somebody was panhandling in the middle of the road repeatedly, gets arrested, but we know we've been trying to get them in recovery center, that the judges and the court staff knows this person should contact the city or whoever
The
else.
information out there, but I don't think that we have solidified it the way we would like to see it.
That may be an area.
How would we advance that idea and that?
I think
Communication
we
there.
should have a social worker in the court, but that's a whole nother conversation, right? Because I think it would be beneficial for a social worker to be in the court, because from that moment, she would be able to attach to that person, do a quick assessment of what the need is, and then make referrals, call us, call somebody else, and assist with that.
Until we can get to that point, we can have ACM Benjamin work with the court, well, municipal court, at least as we're rolling this out to make sure they're aware. Because I know sometimes the judges will say they didn't know about the different resources, so.
Well, we
I
get
think
calls
we
from the judge, and we work with them. It doesn't happen often, but we do get calls. Do we have availability? And if we have availability, then that would stop that jail, and we would get them, and they would become residents.
We'll make a point to continue that
I think it's great, yeah.
conversation.
Sorry for cutting you off, Chief.
All right,
You have anything else? No, sir? Okay. What was your last few slides? Let's see, top down calendar.
Do your thing.
So we want to do a call to action for professional service providers, for nonprofits, for community members, faith communities, and anyone that wants to be an advocate for the unsheltered. So we need you. We need your support. We know that pilot programs are more successful when they have collaboration and buy-in from the community. And so I say we have a building, we have the space, where the unsheltered already are, so let's do the thing that we've been talking about and bring the resources directly to them. And have a QR code, if anybody wants to scan it, you can sign up, but, we really need the support from the service providers. And to me, I understand that not every agency has the capacity, but I envision it as a work out of the office one day and come and see us and come and see your friends at the Recovery Community Center. Like, pick a day where you got friends that work at this agency and y'all want to come on the same day. Just work out of the office and come and do the great work that you're already doing at Hope Plaza.
Absolutely, Erin. And the communication plan that you all are putting together and the call to action, we would love for, we'll work with Justin and his team
Okay.
as well to help you push the message.
So can we talk about hours of operation? What's the expectation for the pilot program?
During the pilot program, it will be Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. We're working on some after-hour weekend things, but that has not manifested yet.
I think that that's a priority because that is a gap out there.
Yeah, I think
And
that
we're here to
all of our
fill the gap.
services for the most part, not us, but us as the city,
Yeah.
like the whole city, everything ends at 5. So what we can do to meet that gap is gonna be
Yeah.
important.
So any suggestions y'all come forward with, please do. I think that's very important.
Then do you want to tell quickly, I know that if we can put the blueprint back up, but where we are with the consultant again, I know you touched on that, but maybe just give a little more information.
So we've been behind the scenes doing, looking for consultants, doing the procurement process. We came down to our final 3, we did interviews, and we have our top person or top consultant agency. And then we are at our negotiation stages, and that will be completed next week. We're looking to have them onboarded, and they will begin their process hopefully by November. And then in March of 2026, we are expecting that it's completed, and they'll be able to come to an ad hoc meeting and report out. And then we'll take their recommendations, as it.
It times out nicely with us wanting to start, this is in the implementation phase right now for the recovery center, but giving it 6 months to look at outcomes and opportunities, successes, challenges, that the consultant can also weigh in on that. So also by March, April timeframe, we should be able to report out if we are able to stand this up and launch in
Perfect.
October for the recovery center. The purpose of the consultant again is to.
The purpose of the consultant is to do an assessment of our community as a whole, identify the resources that we have, identify the gaps, identify those financial opportunities that are untouched, and then to show us how to close those gaps with resources so that we can better provide services to our unsheltered residents, and looking at untraditional housing. So we know that there's a shortage in affordable housing according to the HUD definition. So looking at different housing opportunities like shared living, finding compatible people that can live together in a home, and then paying their portion of the rent to make it more easier. And in shared living, case management would still be a part of that, so that they can sustain housing. So they'll help us with all those things.
Do we know when we are going to start the pilot program? I know we have some stuff we're working on facility-wise still over there,
So we are looking to start on October the 13th.
October 13th.
It's out there now.
She's like, I said it. Why the call to action is very important.
And I wanted to add on to the call of action, Erin did a great job, but I also want to do this to our private citizens. So we have retired teachers, retired social workers, retired, you know, those things that you can do and bring attorneys, bring your gift in, help us with some life skills. We have a mentor program where you could walk alongside of an unsheltered person once they are housed and just help create that community with them. If you want to come and take folks to church, Bible study, whatever that looks like, whatever your strengths are, if you bring them to the table, we will be sure to use it.
Great. Well, I'm sure we will do a wonderful public call over the next few weeks as we lead up to that October 13th date for the pilot program kickoff. Are there any other questions, Councilman Bailey, Dr. Bustles? All right, well, I think that's actually a good segue from a call to service provider partners to a call for residential partners. And I wanted to move on to item number 3, our community partner presentation. Mr. Andy Burns is a resident in the corridor and has put together a great supportive group of private citizens, merchant groups, other businesses. And I wanted to give him a moment to talk about the Citizens for Accountability on Homelessness. So, Mr. Andy Burns, if you'd like to step up to the podium. We have to, yes.
Yeah. We have to hear you on the mic. Are you,
Actually, yeah,
certainly
come
you
over
can
here.
sit to the
Yeah,
table.
come over here.
Come to the table.
Chair.
Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too. But this way the public can hear you too.
Yeah, right, yeah. And my students, because I had to cancel class.
Extra credit, right?
You have to verify if you missed class. So if I'm on camera, I can verify that I was here.
Aaron.
So just very quickly, our group came together in February. It basically went from some of us, it's fascinating to hear you all call it the corridor. I mean, so it's already got a tagline, right? The corridor. And we all know what we're talking about when we say that.
That might have just come up today, though, Andy.
Yeah.
It
hasn't been branded and stamped, we're just referring to the area.
Yeah.
But I mean, everybody was saying the word and everybody knew exactly what we were talking about.
The area.
Right. So I thought that was,
I don't know what it is.
Oh, well, okay.
oh, the corridor? Essentially, we would sit around on porches and complain. And we decided to stop complaining and actually start doing something. And so we started to meet and get together, and we got more folks and more folks and more folks. And long story short, we came up with a list of 5 action items that we think can help both the homeless and the city as a whole. 4 of these 5 came from your very own, I believe you were the chair of the task force from 2 years ago. So none of these should be unknown to anyone. Our first action item, supporting efforts to relocate current homeless services. So again, it kind of sounds like I come up here and I'm saying, everything you're doing at Christ Central is wrong because it's in the wrong place. That is not what we're saying. Once we speak about this, I can see us actually very much supporting this program, okay, because of some of the other items. But here's one thing we have to recognize. Long-term, we have our homeless services and shelters in the very center of the area we are trying to renovate. We've got Main Street, which looks amazing. Bull Street, which is being developed. Uptown is trying like heck to develop. And we have the second busiest corridor into the city, according to the DOT, it's Elmwood Avenue. Off of Elmwood Avenue, you got Finley Park, you've got the mansion, you've got the governor's mansion, you've got Bull Street, you've got Main Street, you got to go to USC, you can go to Uptown, or you go to all the neighborhoods. And the corridor looks like it does. It's a bad look for our city, and it does not show us very well. If you look at Greenville, they do not have a shelter that has 330 people in it. Their largest shelter has 150. It's not far from downtown, but it is not on Main Street. They have another shelter that's even smaller than that, also not downtown, although very close. Uptown has joined us because they want to develop that area north of Elmwood Avenue. But they're crushed and they're overwhelmed.
Oh, I'm sorry, who's that?
Uptown, the area that is north of Elmwood Avenue, Main
Okay.
Street,
Gotcha.
right? We do have two large apartments that are going in. One's being built right now and another one, all that's going to do is increase 911 calls. You're gonna now have 1,000 more people right there. So long-term, the location and the structure of what we got is not working. Our homeless shelter has transitions has 2 shifts a day. So at night, you're letting 70 people just out. And that's the way it's playing out. And then we have gas stations that have 24-hour alcohol sales. 2 blocks away, and we saw a third of the folks are dealing with addiction. This is just poor public policy. It doesn't mean that it wasn't a good idea when it happened. There's a history there, I know that.
This is your conversation you have on your porch. This is what you've been about and
And this is what we have come up with. We have met with a lot of people in the
so
city.
you've come to understand the mountain that's ahead of
We
us,
have come
right?
to understand the mountain,
Okay.
okay? Second thing, it looks to me like y'all have addressed that today, number 2 largely. But right now, the way that the system works is it encourages, it requires loitering. You don't have an option if you want to go to this particular feeding on this one day a month or on this day of the week, or you go here or you go out in front, the people are feeding in front of Richland County Library. We've got services complaining about other services. So
But that's where, Andy, that's where you all need to help us because we tried to consolidate feedings and all of us were doxxed for doing that. Like, and this requires you to understand, yes, it is a public space, and if you want to feed, technically you can, but look at the implications of what's happening, right? So we tried, that was one of the first things that came out of the task force, which was consolidate so that everything is in the same place. You have DHEC certified kitchens, you have bathrooms, and when I tell you, people came from not even the state to come complain about their right to feed on the sidewalk. That is where you all need to help. It's not
Was
policy.
the reason we formed was because we watched that play out. That is why we formed. We watched those folks from Charlotte come down and complain and protest, right? And we thought, why aren't we there? Giving interviews also to the press and saying, no, this is the right thing to do because. And so we came in. Our goal is to support the city and to support law enforcement and to support, we're really not opposed to anybody so much as it's like, all right, we're here, we can help. This is what we're here for, give us a call, okay? Look at number 5. Number 5 came because we met with Will, we met with the chief, and we met with the mayor. And we said, what can we do? And Will, I don't know if you remember, but you and the chief specifically said, talk to the DOT about architectural changes and start meeting with Richland County folks. And so we have. We met with Sheriff Lott last week. We've met with the head of Richland County Council. We've got other people that we're working with to try and figure this out. Supporting law enforcement. What does it look like when someone feeds on the street and we have an ordinance against it? And the police have to go and make a decision. Are we going to arrest you for feeding homeless folks? Are we going to support that? Because it's gonna look bad on video, right? When somebody turns us this, look what they're doing. Are we there to support it? Our group says yes, if we've got healthy boundaries. Finally, number 4, 44 or 46, my stat I may have wrong, of the clients at Transitions are from Richland County. Is that correct?
I don't even know what you just said, Andy.
44 or 46% of the clients
Oh.
at transitions are from Richland County.
So you're saying 54 are
There
not
you
from
go,
Richland County?
54 or not. How many emergency beds does Lexington have? I couldn't find any. Kershaw, Fairfield? Right? So a lot of the discussions that we have had with service providers is that, folks, people come here because the services are here.
Oh, yeah.
And so what happens is we have a situation where we are trying to handle a population of homeless that is too large for us. If we could handle it, we wouldn't have the corridor issue. We wouldn't be here. But at some point, and this is the thing that I noticed when we all were talking, is like, where is the enforcement piece of this? Teresa, I heard you trying to talk about it. You were saying all, right, but you, like, where is it? What happens when that person will not move? And they don't want services? What is that going to, I mean, those are the things that we have to, or I say we have to do it, and we're here to support. But the enforcement piece, we're dancing around, oh, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Are you going to tell them that we have healthy boundaries and we can help those who are here? But we cannot help those that are coming from all of these other places when we're already overwhelmed. Sounds mean, but a family has healthy boundaries. If you have an addict in your family, right? And if that person goes down the street and starts hanging out with the neighbor and the neighbor keeps giving them money, that is no longer my problem.
Mr. Burns, have you covered all five of your action items?
Yes. I'm ready.
Well, listen, Andy, if you want to share your info for anybody in the public that's interested in working with you, being supportive, Hope Plaza is a great kickoff. We have
Yeah.
a long way to go, but we know we need to go there.
Yeah.
So having your voice, your group's voice behind us,
That's right.
we've never had that before.
And some people are saying you got a contradictory, you want it moved out of the corridor, but you want the services there. It's not contradictory. Short term, if this program works, then that's great for everybody, right? And then we can find a place.
It's also scalable, I
Yeah,
think.
it's
You know,
something
we
that's
have to-
scalable,
We have
right.
to start somewhere, like to
Right.
Mr. Brennan's point. We have to meet people where they are right now with the right boundaries being put into place. And then I think this is more the short term where we are, what you're talking about. That's not to say that, you know, I know Mayor Rickman and others are still looking at the longer term solution.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Good.
Thank you for that, Ms. Wilson. So, Andy, appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
You will be in tune with us as we move
Great.
forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Dr. Bustles.
I'd like to make a motion to move into executive session to receive legal advice relating to matters covered by attorney-client privilege pursuant to SC Code 30-4-70A2, homeless services.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank y'all for being here today.
Thanks, everyone.
I didn't go to that. About the lady's body that was found.
Yeah, Hope Plaza's.
By the mall, right?
Today at board meeting, update on Angela Fuller homicide.
I think essentially, yeah. We all saw the same time. You know, some sitting there thinking like, hey, I mean, this seems like they're addressing some
But it will be, but not yet.
now.
In case they want.
Yeah, long term.
I'm sorry.
But as Teresa was saying, it's a short term.
Not the handler face though. Danny with his handler face.
I'll send you the number.
But I do think there's a real problem with
How long do you think this
all
gonna
the
last?
surrounding regions, basically say just.
45 minutes?
And upstate, it's more spread.
It's funny how we were saying all the things we've been saying.
Thank you.
We'll stay in touch, Andy. Thank you.
Yeah, keep spreading the word.
All right, Andy. See you later.
See y'all,
Thanks for
thank
doing all
you.
the